Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I didn't really plan any Christmas themed videos this year, but I did think that I would talk about some game ideas for F1 2021, because if all of these come to the game, it will be like Christmas. So I've got 12 on the list because 12 days of Christmas, that's about as far as that logic goes. But anyway, let's just get into it with the first idea. So number one, and this certainly is not a new idea, and that is Formula 3. I would absolutely love to see the Formula 3 cars in the F1 games. Obviously recently they added the F2 cars in F1 2019, and yeah, Formula 3 would be a logical step forwards, I think. And I think the only sort of limitation is there are 30 cars, and that may be a lot for certain systems to handle, the old Xbox and certain PCs. With less power than the average gaming PC may struggle with the 30 cars on track. So there are some limitations with that, but either way, it would be amazing to see the Formula 3 cars in the F1 games. They produce amazing racing in real life, and it'd be awesome to experience that in the game as well. Number two would be to have 2 extra teams in the My Team career, or at least an option for it. You could select the field size, either 22, 24 or 26 cars, to bring it up to the maximum that is allowed in Formula 1, because more cars on track is always better. And yeah, you could obviously do it a little bit more than that. You could add a kind of rivalry with these other 2 teams that started at the same time. And I'm sure there's definitely something cool that you could do with that, and you could race these other new teams and try to get to the front of the field the fastest, over the first couple of seasons. And they could be kind of rivals in the same way that Devin Butler and Lucas Faber were rivals as drivers. You could have 2 sort of rival teams as well in the My Team mode. So I think that would be a really cool idea, and just add a little bit more flavor, I suppose, to the My Team mode. Number 3 is a bit of an out there idea, but I do think it would be quite fun to do every now and again, and that is multi-class racing. And I don't mean the multi-class that's in the classic cars at the moment. I mean racing Formula 1 cars and Formula 2 cars at the same time on the same circuit. I think that would cause some chaos in online races, and even offline. I think it would be quite fun, as just the lap cars will make things interesting. And yeah, I think it would just be an extra game mode, more variety. That was always a good thing. Number 4, we're going to steer away from big features for a moment and talk about a very small one which they honestly could add in the current game, and that is to show the position of your teammate in the top corner of the screen, along with your own position. I think that would be just quite a simple thing, and it would be helpful just to keep track of your own teammate in the My Team mode, or even in the driver career, and just help to see how they're going at the same time. Number 5 is a feature that was in the games a while ago, but has been taken out since I think F1 2019, and that is punctures for the AI cars. There used to be a random chance in F1 2018 that any given car could just get a puncture randomly during a race, and they would have to make a pit stop for a new set of tires. And yeah, that would mix things up. Sometimes it would cause a safety car, and even sometimes on a bad day it might just cause some complete carnage. But I think it always added a bit more variety to the race, that knowing that could always happen to someone, and it would just be cool to see that feature come back. Number 6, and this is along a similar line to the last one. It's something people have been asking for a long time, and that is random car failures for the player. I don't really need to expand on this one. The AI have random car failures, the player doesn't, and there should be an option to make that happen. Number 7 is to be able to run Formula 2 drivers in free practice 1. I think it would add a little bit of variety to practice. It could go for both your own team and the AI teams. And they could even tie it in with the engine supplier. Obviously, maybe Haas could run Robert Schwartzman or something along those lines. But anyway, continuing on from that, though, they could also integrate it with the driver stats. So if you run a Formula 2 driver in free practice, it will give their stats a boost for when you hire them full time in the following season, or you could run do something along those lines. And I think that'd be a really cool way to mix up practice a little bit and yeah, just keep things interesting. Number 8 is tyre cooling upgrades instead of tyre wear upgrades. Of course, as you upgrade the car, the tyres tend to overheat quite a lot by the end, even by the end of the first season. It can become an issue. So I think to manage that, instead of being able to upgrade the tyre wear, which for some circuits just completely ruins any kind of strategy that you can do, I think you should be able to upgrade the tyre cooling instead, and basically manage the tyre temperatures better when the cars get much faster. And I think that would be a very welcome addition to the game to fix one of the flaws, I suppose, in the current game. So number 9, I think you should be able to spectate a race. If you end up with a DNF, you should be able to watch to the end for the AI battle, basically, instead of sort of just simulating the rest of the race. I think you should be able to continue watching and see what happens to everyone else. And I think partly for content creators, but also it might just be interesting just to see what happens, especially if you're in a title fight. I think that would be very cool to see the rest of the race play out. So number 10, I think we're up to. You should be able to have different options for engineers, or they could even tie it into what team you drive for. So if you drive for Haas, they could have an American engineer. If you drive for Ferrari, you could have an Italian engineer, and so on. And I think that would be just a nice bit of diversity and a bit of flavour that changes depending on what team you're a part of. So number 11, reserve drivers. Obviously we saw reserve drivers a lot this season. Nico Hulkenberg probably most notably, but of course we also saw Jack Aitken and Pietro Fittipaldi. But in the game, obviously they could just use the Formula 2 drivers in the same way they move up into Formula 1 as the seasons go on. And I think that would be a really nice way to boost their stats maybe before they get into Formula 1. And yeah, similar to, as I said, with running them in FP1, they could get boosted statistics, because right now in the game, as they make their first season in Formula 1, their stats are so bad that they can't really perform, and they don't really improve at any significant rate. So it would be really cool to see that actually happen and see that evolve more over time. So finally, number 12, the R&D system I think needs not necessarily an overhaul, but just some tweaking. And I think what could potentially work, or what could make it more interesting, is that if teams can potentially go backwards over the winter, and that's not just losing upgrades, I mean their actual base car could potentially get worse. That could make things interesting. Obviously Ferrari over 2019 to 2020 got worse. Williams from 2018 to 2019 got slower. So it's not something that has never happened, and I think it could potentially make things more interesting. Obviously the actual R&D trees might have to be adjusted season on season depending on the sort of base values of the car, but I'm sure that's something that could be done, or there's ways of working around that. But I think that would definitely make things a little more interesting, so that I don't know, the order of the teams will be mixed up a little bit more, almost like there were a few games ago, but that doesn't seem to happen as much in the more recent games. So that has been 12 ideas for F1 2020. Let me know what your ideas are, and other than that, there is not too much else left to say other than thank you very much for watching to the end, and I will see you next time for more F1 My Team content. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.